Great. So back to the real work. Now we are going to have the category API. So in this lecture, we will know how to add a category and remove a category. I started simple here because the category API is the simplest. We will see in the future how to create more complicated APIs like the products and the orders. So as you remember before, we created the routes, and in the routes, we are adding our APIs. We have here a get. We will edit it to make a better way, or we can keep it to get list of products. Now, let's add a category. So by creating router.post, so I am going to add a category. So by slash and then async request and response. Then I will do here the adding to the database using Mongoose and adding a new category. We saw before that the request always getting the information from the front end, how the user is sending the information, and then we will read them and post them to the database. So let's create, for example, a constant. We can call it or let category. And this will be a new model of category. So this category, we have imported it already here. And we will have the object of this category will be name and also icon and color, exactly like the schema. So how I will get this data from? So request.body.name. So the front end must send me exactly this name. So also the same thing goes for request.icon.body.icon. Also for the color. We add here the color. If you remember, when we posted a product here, we had something like save. So I say the model.save, and then this save will return me a promise. And then I return back with the status, the created product. And we talked before also about await and async. So let's do it now with await and async. So using await and async, I say category, which I created it before. I can say that await of category, which I created, dot save. So in this case, I am waiting until this saved, and this save will return for me a promise with document or the category itself which is created. And then I check. If there is no category, like no category created, then I say return error. So the response.status will say 404, for example, .send, that the response, for example, or the category cannot be created, for example. And then if there is category, then I say response.send the category. That's very simple. As a recap, I created a new category model, and then I filled it with data. I saved it using Mongoose, and then I was waiting here until this category is ready, and then I check if there is category, there is data inside this category, then I send it. But if not, I am returning an error. Let's start our server now. npm start. Connected to database, everything is okay. And I use Postman. And in Postman, for example, I created this category. I said name is health, and icon is icon health, and some color. I send it, and I see it's posted successfully, and I got the new ID of this category. To check if it's really working, we go again to Atlas and check it in the database. I go here and I found it already. So let's create another category, for example, like computers. And this computer has icon computer and some specific color. In front end, you can create a color pickup. color pickup will assign to you the code of the color. For example, I say 444 and I send it, and I created a new one. I go to Atlas and say refresh, and we will see that the category also is added here. So we have computers and health. Now let's delete a category. Deleting a category is the same. So we can say router.delete, not post, and I say the route which I want to assign for deleting a category, and then I say request and response as a callback, and I will use this request and the response. Let's do it here with the promise way. We did it before with await and async. Let's do it here with the promise way. So first I call the model. I say category dot. There is method called find by ID and remove. So with find and ID and remove, it's the same with find by ID and delete. So here I need to find the category which I want to delete. So by ID. So where I will get the ID from? I will get the ID from the user or from the client. So the client will send me the ID somehow, and then I will find it in the database and delete it. So how I can get the ID from the client? There is one way, it's very good way, it's through the URL. So I can say here by two dots, and then I can say by ID. So this ID, you can put it as you want, as any name you want. Then the URL will look like API slash v1 slash the ID which I want to delete of the category. So here, how I will get this ID from the URL? It's very simple. I say request dot params dot ID. So here, this name is the same name as I assigned here. So for example, I say category ID, I must put here category ID. So before we saw that we asked for the body. The body is when we send the request inside the body. So here we have body and we are sending in the body of the request the data. But now we will send them, or we will send the ID by the URL. So as we see here that this method will return for us a promise. So I will say then, and then the promise will return for me a document, and the document which is the deleted category. So I say here, if there is category, like if you find it, then return response dot status dot, or sorry, 200 and dot JSON, and I can create my own object. I can say success is true and some message to the user. So I can tell him the category is deleted. And then if there is no category, when I don't find the category, else I say return response dot status. The not found code is 404, and .json I say success false. So I didn't find the category and nothing is deleted. So I can say in the message category not found. But what if there is some error happened in the server? For example, not about not finding the category, but some error like connection error, or if I pass wrong data, wrong ID. So I can say that with the catch error, I say that please find for me or send for me a message that there is error happened in the server in general. It's not about found category or not found category. So here I say return response dot status. The error in general is 400. So JSON, and then I say success is false, and then I can send the error to the front end to the user. So now let's test this API, the deleting of the category. Let's create one and delete it. Starting the server again, npm start. We are connected to database. Then let's create, for example, new category, computer, for example. Yeah, this name, we keep it the same. And I copy this category, and then I change this method to delete. So here I say, after categories, I say the ID of the category which I want to delete. And then I press send. Nice, category is deleted. If we get the list of categories again, if you want, you can see here the history of what you did before. So let's get list of categories. We still have the old category, which is health. Let's delete it also. So I can go here and say delete this ID. And then if I go back to get, I will get empty array. So we don't have any category now. Let's try to delete not found ID. For example, I can say 444 here. So when I send it, I get success false, category not found. That's good. It's exactly the message which we wanted. And also, let's make an error. Normally, if you want to make error in deleting, the ID of like category or object ID has this format in MongoDB. Let's change this format. For example, I make it short like this. So when I send, I get here the error. So the error is 400, and then I say success false, and the error, what happened, it's about object ID because it's wrong formatted. You have here the choice to make between async and await methods or with then. So the promises, they can be in both ways. You don't have any difference. But here also is more tidied, and here is shorter code. In the next lecture, we will see how to get list of categories and also one single category.